Hi guys, welcome back to Reading Euphoria. My name's Georgia and today I am going to be doing my top 10 books of all time. This video I've been really excited for, but also it's been one of the most hardest videos I think that I've ever had to kind of plan because I have so many books on these shelves. So many of them are actually, I didn't realise until I kind of was looking through them, how many of them I actually haven't read. So that is really exciting. Everyone always goes on at me about how many books I actually do have and how little I actually read them in comparison to the amount that I have. I didn't actually ever realise how many I actually had. So yeah, so it was a little bit hard as well to knuckle it down to the my 10 most favourite books that I've ever read, basically. I'm kind of counting it from when I started reading properly and when I then started this YouTube channel, because I would read a little bit before I actually fully committed to reading properly and kind of like as not like a chore but like more as like a job type thing, and actually reading a couple of books a week rather than say just reading a book whenever you're on holiday, which was what I used to basically do. So I'm just kind of doing it from the top 10 books since I've kind of like started BookTube, and a few months prior to that basically when I first started reading properly. So all of these books are going to be in no order. There's just completely random, it's just whatever one I pick up, which is right next to me at the time. So I'm just going to start and give you a little bit of my review and the synopsis of the book, and yeah, let's just crack on with my 10 favourite books of all time. The first book that I'm going to be talking about in this video is The Forgetting Time by Sharon Guskin. I read this book maybe a year before I started BookTube, I believe. I think it was when I was in my second year of college, and this wasn't really like a hyped about book. I don't think, I wasn't really in like the whole loop of kind of what books are out, etc, etc. But I saw this, and to be honest with you, the thing that attracted my attention the most was that the main little boy in it is called Noah, and I absolutely adore that name. I've said from day dot, I know I'm obviously too young at the moment, but when I eventually do have kids, my son is going to be called Noah because I absolutely adore the name. So that was what attracted me initially to this book, and luckily it was a good book because otherwise I would have been so gutted because his name's Noah. But I love this book. This book is based on the main character of Noah, who is a little boy of the age of 4, but he also remembers being a 9-year-old boy called Tommy. So he remembers Tommy's house, he remembers his name of his mother, etc, etc, and it is such a weird case. He wakes up in the night and he's having nightmares because he's not home. He says to his mum all the time, bless her, that he wants to go home, that he wants to see his mum, and obviously he is home and he is with his mum. So that must have actually been so horrible for his mum. And the guy who deals with their case, who kind of investigates Noah and kind of like who this boy Tommy was, has dealt with a lot of different cases in like the in countries in Asia, etc, that these kind of weird stories have happened to little kids where they do remember being another child in another lifetime, and it actually works out that everything that they're saying about their old life, it works out and it is correct information. So it is very strange, but it also makes for an amazing book. So you basically go through Noah's life and them discovering of this Tommy and kind of like learning all about what Noah remembers, etc. And it is just, it's such an interesting book. It's a plot line that I have never encountered before. I've never encountered a book that even has a similar plot line. There's probably some out there, but I have never encountered this before in my reading life. So for me to read this was something so different, and it was so pure, and the way that Sharon writes it is absolutely genius. So I can't recommend this book enough, especially if you like the name Noah, because you know the little boy does sound really cute. But yeah, it is a great book. And my second book is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I read this book around the same time that I read The Forgetting Time, and I absolutely adored it as well. I have also read Jandy Nelson's The Sky's Everywhere, and although I did love it, it was not as good as I'll Give You the Sun, which is kind of the response that a lot of people give to her books, that this one was better. Even though I do still love The Sky's Everywhere, this one topped it for me. I'll Give You the Sun is based on the main characters Jude and Noah. Have a little running theme here. Basically all of the books in this main character's called now. No, I'm joking. Anyway, so it's based on twins, Jude and Noah, and it's basically them growing up. It's told from 2 different perspectives and 2 different years. So I believe that it's when they're 13 and possibly 16, and it goes between the 2 characters and the 2 perspectives, and it shows how that when they were 13, how close they were, and how outgoing Jude was and how shy Noah was, and then when they then get older, how it's changed, and Jude is the less outgoing one and Noah has a lot more friends than what Jude does. So it flips between these different times, and you get to know why they're now, when they're 16, that they're barely speaking, when at 13 they were literally like this. So the story unfolds and you get to know what actually happened in those 3 years that you don't have any recollection of, and what happened to drive them apart. There is a lot of love involved in this book, there is a lot of family heartbreak, and it is just beautiful to see these twins develop their relationship, being from really close to them broken, and trying to mend this friendship that they have with each other. The 3rd book in this video is Aristo and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Aliri Sands. This book, like I've said for the last 2 books, I probably read about the same time. I definitely read this before BookTube. My housemate when I lived at college told me about it, and I just had to pick it up straight away, and I literally read it in about 2 days, so it was great. And that was before I actually properly took up reading as like a weekly thing. So at the time, for me to read that in 2 days is a shock. This book is based on the 2 main characters of Ari and Dante and their friendship as it evolves throughout the whole of this book, and then their friendship then turns into a relationship. If the camera shifted a little bit, then I apologise, but my camera died and I had to wait an hour for it to charge. So carrying on. The main thing that I think that everyone loves about this book is how Benjamin Aliri Sands writes this novel, especially as well with the inexplicable logic of my life. That is another great book by him as well, which also contains gay characters, which is something that we then need a lot more of in the book community, because we need as much support for the LGBT community as we can, because it is something that needs to be talked about. So in both of Benjamin Aliri Sands' books there is LGBT representation, which I absolutely love, because I'm all about support for it, and especially in books I just love it when you have a either a guy on guy relationship or a girl on girl relationship. I hope that I've said that right and I haven't offended anyone. I don't really know kind of what the right terminology for it is, so if I have said it wrong I deeply apologise, so I hope that that is right. But I absolutely love the characters of Ari and Dante, and I love the relationship that formed between them. It was so beautiful and so beautifully written. It just made you fall in love with both of them, and yeah, like I said, their relationship is just absolutely gorgeous. So for that reason alone, I love this book, but I also loved what happened in it, and I love the plot as well. So it was truly a great book, and if you haven't read this or The Inexplicable Logic of My Life, you need to go and pick them up straight away, because they will honestly change your world. And the next book in this video is A List of Cages by Robin Rowe, which if you have seen my last video for announcing Cosyathon 2018, which is myself and Zoe from Reader B's new readathon for this year, you will know that this is the book that we have selected for the group read, for the read along that we are doing during the readathon. So yeah, I've spoke about this book a lot obviously recently, because I spoke about it in that video, and I will speak about it in my next video probably that I post. But I absolutely adore this book. It is honestly my favourite book, and it really does hold a special place in my heart. This book is based on the main character of Julian, and he is a foster kid. He was recently, when he was a bit younger, fostered by the other main character, Adam. He was fostered by his mum. So he was Adam's foster brother for however many years. I think it was, I can't remember whether it was years or months, but anyway, so that they spent a lot of time together and they were very close. Since then, Julian was then fostered by his uncle or his great uncle, I can't really remember, so I need to remind myself on that, as I said in my last video. So he's now fostered by his uncle, who is very abusive towards him. So this book basically explores the abuse that he gets from his uncle, and it also explores how Adam and Julian's relationship rekindles itself from when they were foster brothers, and then when Julian then moved away, they then didn't speak for a long time, and now Adam has been told by the school counsellor, I think it is, that he needs to look after Julian and make sure that he's okay. So because of this, they then start to get closer. Julian goes out with Adam's friends and they start to form a friendship that is so beautiful, and Adam is a few years older than Julian, so it's like that Julian's his little brother, so automatically he feels like he needs to protect him, even more so since he was once his foster brother. I honestly can't hype this book up enough. It is honestly the best book that I have probably ever read, and I don't think that I'm ever going to read a book that beats it, to be honest. There are so many great books, especially in this video, that I've read, and there are so many more great books on these bookshelves which I am yet to read, but I honestly think that this one will never be overshadowed by any other book. It will always be my number one, and I hope that it stays there forever. I can't see it being beaten anytime soon by any other book. So thank you, Robin Rowe, for producing this amazing book. I honestly love it so much. And my fifth book of this video is The Tattoos of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. I love this book so much. Honestly, it is absolutely beautiful. I can't, it's amazing. I love books that are based during World War I, World War II, and as terrible as it sounds, I love learning about the Nazis and everything to do with concentration camps and everything in that genre. So this book is literally perfect for me. This book is a true story based on the main character of Lael. So like it says on the cover, he was the tattooist of Auschwitz. So his job was to tattoo and ink all of the prisoners' arms when they enter the camp. He also falls in love with this girl called Gita that he sees, and he thinks that she's absolutely gorgeous, so he does everything in his power to try and meet her. He is also the main reason for a lot of people surviving the concentration camps and actually getting to the end, because that he would smuggle in food, and also from the other workers who weren't based in the concentration camp, they just came in to work for the day to then get paid. He befriended a couple of those, and they then smuggled him in food and jewels, etc, so he could then bribe the guards that are inside Auschwitz to then get him more food for everyone else who needed it, who was starving, and also to persuade them to spend time with Gita. The fact that this is a true story warms my heart even more. It's not just made up, and it's books that are fiction obviously do touch my heart a lot, but the fact that this is a fiction book but it is based on a true story is the most beautiful aspect about it, and I honestly really love it, and I really want to reread it soon. Actually, I just have so many books on my bookshelf that I want to get to. At the moment I just don't have time for rereads, but I think that when I do, this will definitely be the first on my list because I absolutely loved it. It was just beautifully written, and oh, it's just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. My next book is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. I read this book about a couple of months ago, I reckon. I can't remember, maybe it was in my April or May TBR, I'm not really too sure, but I read this a couple of months ago and I absolutely fell in love with it. I knew that I was gonna love it anyway because I've seen a lot of the hype about it and a lot of people had fallen in love with it anyway, and Robin Benway is an amazing writer, so I already knew that I was gonna love it even before I picked it up. The greatest thing about this book is that it is told in 3 different perspectives. So it's based on the main characters of Grace, Maya and Joaquin. Their own mother left them when they were younger and they were all put up for adoption. Maya and Grace got adopted or fostered by their families, but Joaquin was always left by himself and he was always just left in the system, going from foster home to foster home and not really having the nicest childhood. And when Grace gives up her own baby for adoption, she goes to her foster parents to find out information about her real mum, and in the process of finding about her real mum, she finds out that she also has 2 siblings, which is Maya and Joaquin. So they get to meet each other and it's just about their story, about how deciding whether they're going to go and find their mum, etc, etc. And because it's told in 3 different perspectives, you get to learn how each person views different situations, which is actually great because, like I've said in my videos before, you get to see Grace's side of view and you think that Maya doesn't really care about it, and you then get to her and you actually discover that actually she really does care about it and she has all these inner thoughts about it, but they just don't show through Grace's point of view. So this book is just amazing to see how the three of them go from being strangers at the start of the book to then being best friends by the end of the book and really supporting each other through everything. And also it's lovely to see how many secrets that they have individually as individual characters. From the start you just think that they're just ordinary people, but they have such depth to them and so much different stories and secrets to share, and it's just lovely to explore those different characters. The next book that I'm going to talk to you about is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. This book is based on the main character of Stevie, who is going to school at the Ellingham Academy. The Ellingham Academy is basically a school for special kids that have special talents or special interests in certain subjects, and you can basically apply, it doesn't matter on your school grades, so you can apply just by writing them an interesting letter and you then get selected to join that way. So Stevie's special interest is the Ellingham mystery, where Albert Ellingham's daughter and wife went missing, and he gets a letter which is signed at the end by Truly Devious, hence the title. I don't believe that their bodies were actually ever found, so the mystery was never solved and they never actually knew what happened to both his wife and his daughter. It obviously drove Albert mad, as it would anyone, and he spent years trying to find them and trying to sort it out, and he spent millions of pounds on it while trying to run the school at the same time, but he never managed to solve it. So that is why Stevie wants to go to Ellingham Academy, to try and solve the mystery that is of Iris and Alice's disappearance. I honestly love mysteries. They are actually my favourite. If you just think Sherlock Holmes, honestly my favourite book ever. I absolutely love mysteries and mystery thrillers. I always struggle with that, I don't know why. Mystery thrillers, especially when there's a disappearance or a murder, and it sounds so twisted, but they're my favourite books. So this book was right on my street, and the sequel to it, I think it's The Vanishing Stair, comes out to the beginning of next year, so I've already pre-ordered that and I'm really excited to then carry on the series. This book was just great, I absolutely loved it, and I can't wait for the next book to then carry on the series. And the next book is The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. If you watch my videos consistently, you will know that Morgan Matson is one of my favourite authors of all time. I absolutely love her books. I have read them all, I think, apart from one now, which is Save the Day, so I am excited to get to that soon. I think that is in my TBR for this month, so I will be getting to that hopefully. So yeah, I absolutely love Morgan Matson, and it's no shock that this book is in my favourite books of all time. This book is based on the character of Andy, and before her father's political scandal she had big plans for the summer, but since everything that happened with her father, she gets kicked off of the summer programme that she was going to, so all of her plans are up in the air, and for the summer she has nothing to do. So she finds herself a job which is walking dogs, and while she's out walking dogs she meets Clark. So Clark is like the start of her summer. They form a relationship, a friendship at first, and then they then end up falling in love, and that is probably like the biggest change that happens with her summer. She also has her group of friends, and it's just basically about the summer and what they do and how much fun that they have with each other. But the main learning point of this book is literally the title, The Unexpected Everything. So Andy always sticks to a plan. So when her plan goes AWOL, she kind of thinks that it's the end of the world and she doesn't know what she's going to do with her life. But then she then gets to the end of the summer and she has had the best summer of her life. So I think that the main lesson for this book is that yeah, it's great to have a plan, and I think that you can't really go through life, through the whole of life, without having a plan, because that you just won't get anything done unless you're the type of person who is very spontaneous. But this book is all about trusting your instincts and just going with the flow and just having a good time along the way, because you never know what's going to happen to you, and it probably will be better than the original plan that you had. I could have included any Morgan Matson book in this video, but this one probably tops it for me. I believe that it was the first one that I read of hers, so it does hold a little special place in my heart, and it was the book that made me want to read more of hers, so that is why I've included that in this video. And my ninth book is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I never would have said that this book would be in my top 10 books of all time video, but it has made it, and I am so happy that it has. I'm so happy that it turned out to be the amazing book that I didn't think that it was going to be. Don't get me wrong, I didn't think that it was going to be a terrible book, but for me, pirates aren't my thing, so I did not think that for me it was going to be in my top 10 books. The thing that I love most about The Daughter of the Pirate King is the relationships between each of the characters. There is a real sense of desire between the main characters Alosa and Ryden, and you can tell that even though they hate each other, they actually kind of love each other at the same time, and that relationship I think is what I love most about this book. So like I've said already, this book is based on the main character of Alosa, who is the daughter of the Pirate King. You don't really need to go much further than the title to know that. She is put on a mission by her father to go onto the ship and find the map that is hidden on there. So she plans her kidnapping, and all of her crewmates actually managed to get off. That was part of the agreement of her being kidnapped. So this other ship has got the daughter of the Pirate King. And it's just basically about her time on the ship and her sorting out different things and her escaping her cell to then try and find this map, etc, etc. But like I said, the main point about it that I love is the relationship between Alosa and Raiden, because it is honestly beautiful. You get a real sense just from Trisha's writing that they actually do love each other, but it's like a forbidden love. It's like they know that they can't be together, and they forced to hate each other, so that's what they show, but there is honestly a little bit inside them that does love each other a little bit. And I have just picked up the sequel to it, which is Daughter of the Siren Queen, so I am really excited to get onto that, since that is in my TBR for this month. And my next book is...
Hello!
Get out of my video!
It works well.
No, it doesn't. And the last book in this video is Sadie by Courtney Summers. I have the arc of this, and I received that at Yauk, like I've said in my videos before. But Sadie was honestly the best book that I have read so far this year, I reckon. It was only released on the 4th of September, so I read it just before it came out, and I was absolutely loving every second. I ate it up. Also, the arc is a floppy book, and it doesn't, you can't see it really, but I love floppy books, and it was just really, and it's like a matte finish on the cover, so I honestly really loved that before I'd even opened up the book. This book is based on the main character of Sadie, and her younger sister Mattie is murdered. Sadie and Mattie were basically brought up without their mother. Sadie basically brought up Mattie because Sadie's mother was a drug user and an alcoholic, so she would always go off with different boyfriends, and she would never really be around to support Sadie and Mattie. So when Mattie ends up dead, Sadie thinks that it's her quest to find the murderer of her younger sister, and she thinks that she already knows who it is, which was one of the boyfriends of her mum who used to sexually abuse her and her younger sister. The greatest thing about this book as well is that it is half set from Sadie's point of view, and the other half is set on like a TV radio program, and it's this guy basically investigating where she is because Sadie has gone missing, so he is trying to find where she is. Sadie didn't tell anyone where she was going, so that is why she is now trying to be found by this news reporter. And it's just really great because he's kind of like 2 weeks behind her, so every time that they say find something, it already happened like a chapter or two back in Sadie's perspective. So you get a real sense of the fact that they are literally one step behind her, and they always are one step behind her, and they're always trying to find out where she's gone next. You also get it from different people's points of view, because obviously when it's the Sadie chapters, you only get things from her point of view. You also get to know people's different perspectives, because obviously for the Sadie chapters, you only get to see her side of the story, whereas when he is interviewing different people in the investigation to find Sadie, you then find out different parts of the story that Sadie didn't necessarily say to you. And this is what brings out the whole kind of mystery part of the book, because obviously if you were just following Sadie's point of view, you would just kind of get her journey and what happened and trying to find her sister's murderer. Where because you then have the interviews, you then find out little things that actually make it into an amazing mystery, and it excites you even more because you then are like, oh, that's going to happen, or that did happen, oh god, what's going to happen next? So that is what makes it a great book, and Courtney Summers has done amazing at writing this. So like I said, Sadie came out on the 4th of September, so if you haven't picked up a copy, you need to go and get one, and you need to read Courtney Summers' book because it was amazing. Sorry, the camera's probably moved again because, you know, just life, just keep knocking it, so I'm really sorry about that. But anyway, so we're now going into the last part of this video, which is to announce my giveaway winner. So about a week ago, I think Monday last week at 4 o'clock, I announced on Twitter and Instagram and that I was doing a giveaway of Caravel by Stephanie Garber, and it was either going to be a paperback version or a hardback version, and due to the amount of retweets it had and the amount of entries, we are going with the paperback version. So that is what the winner of this giveaway will receive today. So I'm going to try and do it as fair as possible. I've literally just got everyone's names who retweeted my tweet into this cup, and I'm just literally going to shake it up and going to pull out the first name that I get, and whoever that is will win my book. So I'm excited about this. This was my first giveaway, so let's just crack on and announce the winner. So I'm just going to give it a little shake up and down, I want to do it as fair as possible, so I don't want you guys to think that I'm trying to get a specific name out of this. So I'm shaking it up a little bit more, and I'm just going to reach in and grab the first name. So the name on the sheet of paper, there we go. So the name on the sheet of paper, which I have noted it down wrong on here, so it's Kylie Argerand, and she is the winner of my giveaway of Caravel by Stephanie Garber. So congratulations to Kylie. I will tag you in this video and announce it on my Twitter, and I will then message you with how you are going to receive it and your address, etc., and we will sort it out how I'm going to send it to you. So I am really excited. So thank you to everyone for entering, and congratulations to Kylie. That is it for this video. I hope that you've enjoyed my top 10 books of all time. These books are honestly amazing, and if you haven't read any of them, you need to go and pick them up because they are brilliant, and the authors deserve all of the hype and support that you can give them because they have done a fantastic job. It goes without saying that all of these books in this video I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and honestly, I want to reread them like now that I'm talking about them. I'm getting so excited about them, but I can't. I've got so many other books to read, as you can see on my bookshelf. So yeah, hopefully I'll get to reread them at some point. That would be really, really lovely to explore their worlds again. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you again soon.